Charlie Dixon a miracle?
No. There was always like we are conservative most of the time. There's always some chance that he was going to be available to play this week. We're really pleased that he's been able to get to that stage now.
So how much has he done during the week to convince you to play him?
Oh no, he's done what we'd expect him to do. He's run on Monday, Wednesday, and he'll train again this afternoon. He won't do much this afternoon when we get to Sydney, but all things being equal, we did last. We can go right to the end anyhow with him. So if there was any doubt, we'd still stop at the last minute if we had to.
It sort of can look like sometimes that it's a last-ditch effort. Would you have played him if the season was over, or if you were well up on the ladder?
No, I don't ever take chances with player, injuries and stuff. We're always upfront. We're always open. We're always telling you that we expect the player to play when we expect him to play, and if he's going to play, we pick him. Our season's still going, and we've got 4 games to go. There's lots of things to still get right, and Charlie's a part of that.
What does he add? I mean, obviously John Butcher had a good game last week, back in tandem. Does that just add another supporter, another target?
Well, it is nearly the first time for the year we've actually got a couple of fit, tall forwards with Hoff to be out there running around together. So we're interested to see what happens, and it's probably been our desire to have more of that. We haven't actually been able to do that as often as we'd like, either through form or through injury.
How are you going to handle that?
In how that looks up forward, or the way
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Are you most interested in how that looks up forward, or the way that sort of translates with the ball movement?
Yeah, well, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, clearly up forward, it's a much bigger assignment for the opposition backs when you've got 197 and 202 and 200 in your front half. You've got to put people on them that can control them in the air. And the good part about the 3 of our talls is they're all quite agile at ground level. So it does cause them some structural issues, I'd imagine. But sides are pretty flexible now down back.
How are you going to handle the challenge at the other end of the park with pretty skinny defence against a pretty big forward?
We look forward to it. We look forward to the opportunity, and we've had our young defence has stood up for the best part of 3/4 of the season so far. And again, like a lot of sides have had to find out, it's the sum of many, not the sum of one, that'll help you get it done. And for us, that's going to be a collective that needs to work really closely together over the 4 quarters. And we know the challenges that Sydney provide us.
So how have you dealt with the defenders knowing that Lance Franklin can play deep in the goal square or could go up to the centre square? How are you going to handle that?
Oh, no, we'll play our defensive structure the way we need to play it. And yeah, Lance Franklin's a factor, but so is a number of other players in the Sydney front half. Gary Rowan with his speed that he's got, there's some challenges up there. They've got midfielders at rest there. There's plenty of challenges other than Buddy, and Buddy is one part of the challenge.
Would that be the biggest positive so far this year, thinking about these young defenders stood up, especially with so many of your experienced players out?
Yeah, well, it's certainly one of the positives for us, and along with our midfield without a ruck, I think has been pretty positive for us. We've managed to mix and match a little bit and get a result that's not where we'd like it to be, but it's one that shows some improvement for us, and certainly has added to our depth of defenders. There's no doubt about that.
Westoff, 200 games. A comment on him as a player?
He's a star. He's one of the greats that I've been involved with in football, just because of the personality of the man. He does whatever the team wants, and he's. If you ask a coach who's the bloke you turn to the most, for us it's Westy. I turn to Westy a lot in games, and whether that's behind the ball, in the ruck, on the wing, in the forward line, running up and down all day, he just does everything for us, and there's never any fuss, and that's what you love about a player as a coach. He'd be our favourite player, I think, amongst lots of people, so our supporters, our players, our coaches. So we look forward to him having a great night today.
He does come across as so quiet and spoken, and like I said, no fuss. What's his leadership like out on the ground? Does he talk up, or how does he go about that?
Yeah, he's great with his young teammates, I reckon, and because of the way he is, his personality is not one to rant and rave and scream and yell a little bit. He's really calm, I think, with his teammates, and that helps younger players. It helps all sorts of players, to be honest. But he speaks when he does speak. That's the key for us. Is when Westy does speak, everyone has a good listen because they know that it's important. And for him to speak up, it's certainly going to be an issue and something that he wants to make sure we're better at.
Yeah, traditionally Sydney Port Adelaide games get decided in the midfield. Does Trengo change the dimension of that?
Well, we hope so, but the battle at ground level will be significant, won't it? Let's not mess around. There's Kennedy, Hanbury, Parker, Mitchell, Jack, McVeigh. There's plenty up there, and we've got a really talented, strong midfield ourselves. But it's a great challenge on a smaller ground that's going to cause, and the conditions may be a bit slippery. So that'll be an interesting one for us. Jacko's been absolutely outstanding for us. We don't make any secret of that. Whether he can do that against another 2 big ruckmen for a whole game is another big challenge for him. But so far, I'd tick him off and say he'll probably get it done because that's what he's done so far.
On Kennedy, had unbelievable contested numbers last weekend for most of the year. Is there a chance for someone like Ollie just to say, you go with Josh and see how you go?
it's the player you want to be, isn't it? If you're Ollie Wines, it's the player you look at and say, I want to be something similar to that at some stage in my football career, and what a great opportunity. But, Travis is in there too, and, Robbie's in amongst it, and Youngie goes in there, Arch, Sam Gray. There's plenty that'll go there, but, I'd love to see, to be honest, I'd love to see Ollie go against Kennedy and see what it looks like.
Just like they're such a hard team in there. Are they the toughest contested midfield in the competition?
I think, look, it's hard because when you're in contest week in, week out, they all feel pretty hard and pretty strong. But, we all sit back from a distance and say we admire what Sydney are, and it's a really tough, defensive, contested side of team of football coached by, a great coach that's been successful over a long period of time. We admire what they've been. We go up there trying to challenge that and try and beat them.
Carl
Ken,
Amon
Pop
spoke the
style.
other day about you guys going back to playing Port Adelaide away. Is that how you saw the game against Brisbane?
No, I just thought we played 4 strong quarters. We played a side that's obviously had some challenges, but we were able to be quite ruthless in the way we went about it, and I think that was pleasing. I think the last 3 quarters we kicked 7 odd goals in each quarter, so it was a good, strong finish to a game that we haven't probably done consistently throughout this season.
Obviously coming up against a tougher opponent, that did manage to keep the highest score of the season. The betting team this year, does that sort of play into this match with the much confidence going in?
Give you some bad news. Sydney concede about 63 points to the opposition at every game in the SCG, so I'm not thinking we're going to get 174 or whatever we got last week. But I think if we can, if we can challenge Sydney and score, and push that score up above 60, that'll be a great start for us. But one of our strengths is when we get going, we can score. But I'd like to think our greatest strength is we play contested footy well and we play defensive footy well.
You want the guys to remain equally as ruthless?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got things to play for and things to get done, and we're going up there, understanding the size of the challenge, and one that we really look forward to, and it's going to be a great opportunity for us.
Ken, clubs don't like being owned by any rival, but Sydney, Port Adelaide, they're just very much in Sydney's favour. How do you start changing that?
We start winning tomorrow. That's the only way you can do that. I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's numbers are numbers for the past, but the opportunity tomorrow for us is to start hopefully 1-0 from tomorrow onwards, and that's what we go up there trying to do. We understand and respect their history, but it's not one that we're frightened of. It's one we go up there with some confidence that we can challenge, and we know the last couple of times we've been there, they've been incredibly close games and tight games right to the end. We just hope we can push the tightness in our favour at the end of this one.
You spoke last week about it's 5 weeks for players to make a case for the state of Port Adelaide and change their destiny. What are you doing about your footy department?
Same. It's no different. Our footy department, is no different to our playing list. It's just not the time of the season that we do make all those decisions. We've got somewhere around 20+% of our season still to go. It'd be foolish to make any decisions today, and we're not going to do that. We'll go through all those things. We'll review playing, football department, medical department. We'll even go through the whole of club, and we'll find out where we've been, we've been good, where we've been not as good as we'd like to be, and look for opportunities to improve. And that will happen at the end of the season, not today.
So when that July 31 issue is brought up by the Coaches Association to tell the assistant coaches where they stand, how do you handle that with your group?
Oh no, exactly as it is. We tell them exactly where we are, and the facts are we don't make those decisions at July 31. We respect the Coaches Association, which I'm part of, and understand that some direction is handy for people and gives them opportunities, but that's all it is. It's just to put a bit of a clearer picture on where things are at for us and for individuals.
So with Gary Hocking, where's his position then?
It'll be decided at the end of the year, like all our coaches, and like mine, like anyone that's involved with our footy club. We don't make those decisions on July 31. We're asked to give some guidance. We certainly do that as best we possibly can.
So is there a guidance to Gary as to where he's going?
No, as I said, we're not making any decisions. Right now, though, it's July 31. We haven't renewed anyone's contract, not Buddha's, not anyone else's. It's just the way we do things at Port. At the end of the season, we'll look at all those opportunities, and look, they'll work themselves out. They always do. Look, I'd like to see them play together. That's what we'd like to see. But Lobes is, had 1 week back, bye, and then another game. He's had an interrupted run at it for a little while. He's had 12 weeks off. We expect he's building his form, and we expect that he'll continue to do that this week.
Who are you travelling in terms of numbers?
We're taking 24 we're taking. 2 extras. We're taking Toompus and Need with us. That's right. When we've got an easy travel, 1 night travel, and we come back tomorrow night, it doesn't affect our sample, so we always take that little bit extra precaution.
Is it taking 2 instead of 1?
No, it's not, Roots. No. Look, let's be honest, Charlie's not over the line yet, so we're going to go up there and make sure that's okay, but we expect he'll play. But, if you've got 1 definite, you go, well, there's some risk. You always have to have another one in case someone gets sick overnight, and We do have all the warm up, unfortunately, or 10 minutes before the game. I was actually involved with a game once where a player pulled out in the second warm up with 3 minutes to go before the siren went. So you just never know. Safety is good.
So is there anything specific the Chinese to get through today?
Fair train. Sorry, that's not being silly. He's just got to get through. You know, it's nothing. He won't do much. And look, to be honest, the only way Charlie won't play is if something goes, in my view, something goes wrong in the warm up tomorrow night and he doesn't feel comfortable. We expect that not to be the case.